does it mean that Trump is not there tonight?
Well, I think it means that finally a lot of the Republican candidates who have not been able to break through, who have sort of been in this Trump bubble, if you will, are now going to have the chance to say, I'm candidate X, here's what I stand for, here's how I differentiate myself between the other candidates, and really get a chance to introduce themselves to the American people who are just starting now to pay attention to this debate.
So who could likely shine here?
Well, actually, I'm looking at some of the folks that people aren't talking about. I'm looking at the people who are perhaps in the 3% range, like your John Kasich, if you will, the governor of Ohio. He's doing very well in New Hampshire. He's third in the polls there. He's spending a lot of his time and a lot of his effort there. And people are like, I've heard of John Kasich, but perhaps I get to learn a little bit more about him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And who has the most to lose tonight?
Well, I think you're going to look at someone like Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio. Those are the presumptive front runners right behind Mr. Trump. Are they going to have a gaffe, Betty? Are they going to have one of those oops moments that Rick Perry, the former governor of Texas, had when he was on the stage? So they're looking to do the adage, do no harm. They want to look good, but they don't want to have a gaffe that could be used in commercials against them later.
Should they even do it then? I mean, why risk it tonight, right?
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important to have a conversation, to be accessible. And this is a very unique setup. As you pointed out, this is not a debate, it's a forum.
Right.
But it's going to be simulcast not just on C-SPAN, but it's also going to be simulcast in South Carolina. It's going to be simulcast in Iowa. So you're talking the first 3 states with, of course, the New Hampshire primary, the Iowa caucus, and South Carolina. So voters not just in one state, but 3 states and across the country are going to hear what these folks have to say.
You know, Donald Trump, who, let's bring up the poll numbers, right? I mean, I think the most recent polls have him over 20% now, you know, in terms of voter favor. Right. How long do you think that's going to last?
I think they're at the summer, and once we get past Labor Day, I think people are really going to be paying attention. But what I look, everyone says, oh my goodness, you know, Trump's got 20-something%. I look at this and I say, well, you know what? That means to me there's 65-70% of people who are undecided who they're going to vote for. And you start on this forum tonight, you move to the debate, the formal debate on Thursday, and I think people are going to say, I want more substance, I want to know what the candidate specifics are, and I think that's when you're going to find a breakaway candidate who's going to distinguish themselves and move further away from the pack.
Someone who isn't, Trump, by the way, wasn't also at the weekend fest with the Koch brothers, right? And he put out this tweet. He put out a bunch of tweets, but
yes, he did.
This is the one that got the most attention. Let's bring it up, guys. I wish good luck to all of the Republican candidates that traveled to California to beg for money, etc., from the Koch brothers. Puppets?
Well, you know, if it's one thing I admire about Donald Trump, anybody who attacks him, he comes right after him. And, you know, there's the question of, you know, did the Kochs insult Trump? And the same reason why you don't find him on the stage tonight. The New Hampshire union leader is not going to endorse him, or he doesn't think they're going to endorse him. So he said, you know what? I'm not going to show up. The Koch brothers, I'm not going to show up because I don't need their money. So it's a very shrewd strategy, but something that only a Donald Trump could pull off, because I think, as we said a few moments ago, the other candidates really need to find a way to distinguish themselves.
Well, I mean, can he afford not to show up, though? I mean, how much longer can he play that game?
Oh, he can play that game, because I think the first real debate is going to take place this upcoming Thursday.
Right.
All the top 10 Republican candidates are going to be up there, 10 out of 17.
Yeah.
And he's the front runner, so he figures, you know what, I can sit this one out. It doesn't mean anything for me. Not a gaffe moment for him. Again, he's got to get prepared for this debate.
So he needs to do no harm there, too.
He needs to do no harm.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, for having worked with Governor Romney when he was running for president and getting ready for debate prep, this is pretty serious stuff, Betty. I mean, you've got people...
But if he passes with flying colors on Thursday, I mean, do people have to start taking him seriously?
I don't know if he will. I mean, I just can't take a man seriously if you look at his website and he doesn't have serious issue positions up there. He needs to have a policy statement. He needs to have background materials on all of his policies that he's articulated.
Right.
He looks more like a celebrity who's running for... Oh, he is a celebrity.
He is a celebrity, right?
Hey, come on.
I know. But, I mean, clearly people are taking him seriously. Okay, the Koch brothers, though, I thought it was interesting, right? They had 5 Republican candidates there. It was Ted Cruz, I think, got the most standing ovations, in fact, from the audience, including David Koch. Then Jeb Bush was there. I believe Scott Walker as well. Rand Paul, I believe, was invited but didn't go. So, you know, how important is it to be anointed by the Koch brothers' money?
Well, I think it's more than just their money. I think it's the opportunity to be with wealthy donors as well, beyond the Koch brothers.
Right.
People who can fund their super PACs.
Network.
Their network.
Okay.
People who can fund their super PACs. People who can make contributions to their campaigns. It's a smart move for these folks right now, Betty, who are trying to distinguish themselves of, can I have the money and can I have the organization to stay into place for the first 3 states, New Hampshire, Iowa, and, of course, South Carolina. And I think that's what they're doing right now, using the summer months to fuel their campaign coffers, to distinguish themselves from their opponents in the race, and also to get ready for, hopefully, getting deeper into the spring.
But why, if Jeb Bush is, I believe he's the front runner, other than Donald Trump with the most money himself, but I think Jeb Bush has raised the most, I think $115
million.
$1 million. So why isn't he doing better in the polls then?
Well, I think, frankly, if you put the name Bush and you put the name Clinton out there, there are a lot of Americans who are saying, in a country of 315 million people, can't we do better than another Bush or another Clinton? I think there's a certain fatigue element, and that's why you see Governor Bush out there.
But it's not hurting his fundraising, though.
No, because, of course, his brother and his father's networks, of course, and the governor's networks themselves, that's going to help him. But this is why I think Governor Bush is out in California with the Kochs. This is why I think he is up in New Hampshire right now, is that he needs to say, I'm my own Bush. I'm not my brother. I'm not my father. I have run successfully in Florida, and this is what I've done. Here's my record. That's why I think he's out there.
And just before we go, Biden may be running. What do you think of that?
I think he should, honestly. I think that the Democrats should. Well, I think that they should have an alternative. It shouldn't just be a coronation of Secretary Clinton. I think Biden has been on the political scene since, he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
And he's amassed a record as being the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Foreign policy is on the minds of a lot of folks, Betty. I think it would be good for him to distinguish his record between the former Secretary of State.